Like on September 24th, 2016, when Tulsa found themselves down 31-0 to Fresno State with 10 minutes left in the second quarter. Tulsa fought back to tie the game at 41. And then won 48-41 in double overtime.
Serve Pro, like it never even happened.
My name is Whitney Allen. I am a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought in a million years we'd have to use life insurance. The unexpected happened. With Ethos, it is so fast and easy. It's 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage, no medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage through Ethos.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/game. That's ethos.com/game.
Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Hey, did you miss Clinton and friends?
K9 in Florida.
Yo, what's up, OG? The reason I called, man, is because I feel like my boy Giannis has officially taken over as the #1 Greek. I've said this before. Growing up, there hasn't been too many Greek guys to look up to other than Uncle Jesse John Stamos. So when Giannis came around, I mean, we just went nuts.
Clinton and Friends, weekdays from 10 to noon Eastern on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
Sports are always in season on ESPN. Always rivalry season. Always top 10 season.
You got some top plays for you, though. Here goes 10-1.
Let's get to your top plays.
And always did you see that season. Download the ESPN app and get over 47,000 live events all year long. All of ESPN, all in one place. ESPN, always in season.
Evan, Canty, and Michelle are unsportsmanlike.
Is Mozambique the best country name of all time?
I thought that was a person.
Mozambique?
You thought Mozambique was a person?
The way you just said it was like Mozambique. And I'm like, I don't know what to mean.
You thought it was a basketball player?
Do you think the Knicks should play Mozambique?
Against the Spurs, Mike Brown really went to his bench. Yeah. Mozambique played some critical minutes.
Here's the thing. Tibbs would never have used Mozambique.
Unsportsmanlike. Weekday morning starting at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN2. Amber and Ian.
If I'm Cignetti, I'm not going to the league. The grass ain't always greener on the other side. Look, right now they're ready to build a statue of you. Right now they're ready to name streets after you. Right now babies that are about to be born are being named Sig or Kurt in Bloomington, Indiana because of Kurt Cignetti, not the head basketball coach for the Hoosiers, but the head football coach for the Hoosiers.
Amber and Ian. Weeknights at 7 Eastern on ESPN Radio.
This is TGL on ESPN live in prime time.
That was a great time.
Great. Tiger, Rory, and the PGA Tour's biggest names in a season-long head-to-head competition.
Oh, yeah.
Combining the top players with
there and
technology.
had a bucket of beers, had a few shots, and didn't pay a single dime.
This is the best kind.
Absolutely.
TGL,
tastes better.
Presented by SoFi on ESPN and the
Far
ESPN app. All of TGL, all in one place.
NBA Thursday on ESPN Radio.
Brunson, left corner, three on its way.
Jalen Brunson and the New York Knicks complete a 4-game West Coast trip in San Francisco against Steph Curry and the Warriors.
Hesitation move down the right post, flips it up and in. Wow, Steph Curry.
The Knicks at the Warriors. Coverage begins Thursday at 9:30 Eastern with tip-off at 10 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app. Presented by Indeed. The SB Pod with Scott Van Pelt.
The May MVP candidacy, for the people that look at the numbers, it's obvious. But then the people that point out what's also a fact, that they played the worst schedule in quite a long while. I don't know. Stafford had a dozen more touchdowns than anybody else. I don't feel like it's nostalgia to say he should be the MVP. I'll tell you this much. The old graybeard much more invested and interested in the Lombardi than the MVP.
Yeah. The SB Pod with Scott Van Pelt, wherever you get your podcast.
Women's basketball Sunday on SEC Network. Texas A&M takes on number 4 Texas. Get out of my way, I'm out. Aggies take their relentless offense to Austin.
John A. with an outstanding play in transition.
Away to face the hot Longhorns in the Lone Star Showdown.
They left wide open as a result. Buries it great. How sweet was that?
Texas A&M at number 4 Texas. Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern on SEC Network and the ESPN app.
Wichita's new sports leader, ESPN Wichita, 92.3 FM, KKGQ, Newton. This is the Shane Dennis Show on the new ESPN Wichita, 92.3 FM.
It is episode 1135. Shane Dennis Show. Jack's back. We'll hear from Jack Johnson here in just a little bit. We'd love to hear from you here on a Tuesday. Plenty to talk about. Plenty of ground to cover. Now the wild card weekend is in the rear view. Divisional round coming up. Lots of hoops to talk about. But we want your thoughts. If you got some, you want to share them with us, we have an avenue for you. Got a couple numbers for you to use if you want. You can call, although today it might be a little sketchy. The hotline number is 316-669-4996. So if you want to give us a shout, you got a question, you got a comment, if we prompt you to call that number to win something, that's the number you call, 316-669-4996. If you'd rather text, and a lot of us would, and I will ask you to text me something today. And on Thursdays and Fridays, we'll ask you to text us something in the football season. That number is 316-247-0923. So if you want to win something on the text line, or if you just want to get something off your chest, you want to weigh in on some topic that we're talking about, 316-247-0923. If you want to listen to us in a way that you're not right now, we have every way possible. Let's start with the ESPN Wichita app. Download it. That way you can take us wherever you go. And regardless of where you are, you'll be able to listen to ESPN Wichita programming. New Day with SSJ. Me. Clinton and Friends. The Rich Eisen Show now, as you, I'm sure, just heard. The Pulse with Pat Strathman, 2 to 4. The program with Seren Petro from 4 to 6 most days. All those shows can be accessed through the ESPN Wichita app, and they can also be accessed on demand. They're archived on our podcast page. So if you miss something, or if you just want to hear something again, then you can check out whatever that might be on our app. Likewise, ESPNWichita.com. So if you're at your computer and you want to stream the show, then click on Listen Live. And you can also catch up with anything you may have missed on the website. Got the same capabilities on the website as we do our app. Check out podcast. Listen to something you missed. Listen in your car or on your radio, 92.3 FM. Live stream is up, so you can watch if you want to at our Twitter, at ESPN Wichita, our Facebook, or our YouTube channel. And it's very handy, too, if you're lucky enough to live stream the show and watch us, because down at the bottom on the ticker is today's lineup. So if you forgot what was coming up next, or you just want to follow along that way, like, for example, today, it's a jam-packed show, and you want to make sure not to miss a certain interview in each hour, then down on the crawl, it tells you what's going on and when. Very handy. We are at our Equity Bank Park studio. It is January 13th. We're headed for a high today in Wichita of 62 degrees. All right. As I mentioned earlier, Jack is back in the saddle. Thanks, Dylan, for filling in. But Jack now overtakes the moment of levity. What do you got, Jack?
What would happen if a grand piano fell on your head?
I'd die.
You'd be flat.
Oh, clever. That's not bad. I wasn't expecting that. National Shop for Travel Day is today. National Sticker Day. Korean American Day, commemorating the arrival of the first Korean immigrants in the United States back in 1903. National Peach Melba Day. And Stephen Foster Memorial Day, composer of a bunch of America's first popular songs. notable born days today. Robert Stack. Remember him? An actor who is also the original host of Unsolved Mysteries. I can remember that being must-see TV. I can't remember what night it was on, but man, Unsolved Mysteries was great. Great show. Actor and comedian Rip Taylor, born 1931. Horse Racing Hall of Fame trainer Bob Baffert, born. Patrick Dempsey, actor known as McDreamy in Grey's Anatomy. He's born on this day. You missed Tom Dempsey yesterday, Jack.
I've been eaten up inside about it over the last 24 hours. And I just knew it's the same thing where when you were younger and you'd miss school and you'd be sick, that was the one day a fight broke out or some
something cool happened.
Showed up. Something cool happened. It always happens to me.
Well, DB took the baton there. He gave it its due attention when I gave it to him. So on this day, 1930, first Mickey Mouse comic strip appeared. And in 1794, Congress changes the U.S. flag to 15 stars and 15 stripes. Also, the twist inspired the twist dance craze on this day in 1962. There is January 13 for you. I told you we have a full show, and I will prove it. Here's what we're going to talk about. Big K-State, Iowa State game tonight. You can hear it right here on the channel with your coverage starting at 6 o'clock with the Kansas Nation pregame ahead of that 8 o'clock tip. You can hear it right here on ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM. We will keep the college basketball conversation going with Mark Adams, ESPN college basketball analyst. He was in Wichita on Sunday doing the UNT WSU game on the U. We'll get Mark Adams' thoughts on multiple different college basketball topics. So Enthusiadams on the Twitter will join us at 12:25. Top Golf Twitter question, speaking of Twitter, comes your way at the end of hour number 1. That's your opportunity to win some stuff there. And then Jordan's Juicy Takes at 1 o'clock, brought to you by Booth Creek Wagyu, Jordan Foote, at Footnoted on Twitter. We'll talk a lot about Wild Card Weekend and maybe a little bit about the configuration of Kauffman Stadium now. So that comes your way at 1 o'clock. And then at 1:25, our reactions to Wild Card Weekend, save for the last 2 games, really. The game last night between the Steelers and the Texans was good enough for 3 quarters, and then it kind of fizzled. And the Chargers-Patriots game didn't have a lot of drama in it, but all the rest of the games did. So we'll have our reactions on that. Look forward to the divisional round. And I'll tell you where I'm going to be on Saturday watching the divisional round. So that comes your way at hour number 2. And then I'm old Jack Young at the end of the show. We welcome Jack back. We'll celebrate some Jan 13 birthdays and have a little fun, and then hand you off to the Pulse with Pat coming your way from 2 to 4. There are your topics. That's what we're going to talk about. A lot of basketball. Starting with the game tonight between Iowa State and KU. KU, of course, coming off that loss on Saturday against West Virginia to fall to 1-2, the Jayhawks do. Meanwhile, Iowa State comes in with a head of steam. They are one of, I'm not sure, 4, maybe less, unbeatens in the country. They come in at 16-0, 3-0 in Big 12 play. And they come into the Fog as a favorite, believe it or not. By the way, we have Miami of Ohio, Arizona, Iowa State, Vanderbilt, and Nebraska, by my count, still undefeated. And Miami of Ohio is the only team of those that have 17 wins as opposed to 16 for the other guys. So just to catch you up on that. And oh, by the way, Miami of Ohio plays tonight against Central Michigan with a chance to go to 18-0. But getting back to Allen Fieldhouse and the Jayhawks hosting Iowa State. The Cyclones are a favorite. It's a small favorite, but a favorite nonetheless. And I said this yesterday, and I didn't exactly put my neck out there, but I kind of did. And it's not I'm not trying to fluff my own feathers here, but I wouldn't be surprised, and Jack might disagree, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Jayhawks have more than a little something for Iowa State tonight. That home crowd, of course, will be extra juice. I guess I have to ask, Jack, you're not going to that game by any chance, are you?
Hell no.
Oh, okay.
Nope. I'm
Okay.
not doing that.
All right. Well, the Cyclones come in 3-0 in the league, and they've only played one possession game. And the Jayhawks, by all accounts, come limping back home to take on Iowa State tonight, and then a rare Friday game against Baylor at home as well. I don't know that it's necessarily DEFCON 4 here in Lawrence, but the one thing that I brought up yesterday, Jack, regarding Big 12 play, and I talked about you without you being here, so I'll give you a chance now. But just when we thought, and we both agreed, just when we thought KU was a really gritty and a good defensive team, as evidenced by that 3-day stretch in Vegas, where they held down Notre Dame, Syracuse, and Tennessee, and even in defeat, held down UConn, and held Mizzou to 60, and held NC State to 76, which doesn't seem like much, but that game went to overtime, and NC State at the time was averaging way over 80 points a game, and they may still. What has happened in Big 12 play? It seems like, and we played a little Bill Self audio yesterday too, it seems like that Bill at least is walking out the idea that KU is a bit snake bitten, in that West Virginia, TCU, and UCF have all picked a fine time to play a great offensive game. But he also admitted at the same time that KU is clearly not doing enough to make sure that the opposition doesn't have a good day. So he kind of, I don't want to say he was talking out of both sides of his mouth, but he walked two different things out there and kind of intimated that, poor us. West Virginia played their butts off offensively. And the TCU game, of course, speaks for itself. But they gave up 81 against UCF. The 3 games in the Big 12, Jack, I know one game was overtime, so you got some extra sessions there, extra minutes. They're giving up 89 points a game. So leaving the offense out of this, what have you seen that has changed? And I don't think you can tell me the level of competition, because Mizzou, NC State, Tennessee, Syracuse, and Notre Dame, they don't have to take a backseat to anybody in the Big 12. What's up with the defense?
Yeah, it's been ghastly, that's for sure. I feel that on film, these other teams have been able to exploit that Kansas switches all 5 guys, and whereas earlier in the year that worked, they're now just switching until they get the mismatch they want. And KU's not switching back, because then you get too chaotic. I mean, What we saw UCF do, we saw TCU do, and we saw West Virginia do was, okay, we're either going to switch until we get a guard on Bryson Tiller and you're able to go right around him, or he'll foul, or you'll get somebody in the post. You'll get a mouse in the house and you'll just back him down and go and score on that one-on-one matchup. Yeah. And it's very easy to score at that rate, whether you are 0-35 or you're 35-0. You just find the mismatch and you go out there and you get Kansas in foul trouble, or you go right around their bigs who are guarding out in the perimeter. And you're hoping that gets better. But right now, nobody should view Kansas with any sort of fear. Nobody should be scared of Kansas right now. And really, that's been the case over the last couple of years. They don't have that same feel. Allen Fieldhouse doesn't have that same feel, where you walk into that environment, it's still tough to win, but there are tougher venues right now in the country and in the Big 12 that I would say are tougher to win in, because the team's just simply better and cater to that environment. Like right now, if I had to pick between what's tougher for a team to go and win in, is it Allen Fieldhouse or is it down in Houston against the Cougars?
Yeah,
I'd say against Houston. That's no shame to Allen Fieldhouse.
And maybe even Hilton now too. That's always been a tough place to play.
the environment will take you a long way, which is why tonight KU's unranked and they're only a 3-point underdog against the second-ranked team in the nation that is undefeated, right? So the environment's going to do a lot for you. But the team is what's going to actually win you the game. If you can't defend, Iowa State can take the crowd out of this rather quickly. If they get out and they're scoring at will like West Virginia did and like UCF did and like TCU did, I didn't enjoy Bill Self saying, this is, I'll quote him here. He said it's a bitch of a conference.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't even played anybody good yet in the conference. You have played the bottom half of the league or the middle, and that's being kind to UCF and TCU. I believe when it's all said and done, those teams will be outside the top 7 or 8 in the Big 12. The good news is you have a really good opportunity over the next 4 games to rewrite the ship. You've got Iowa. If you win tonight, you're feeling much differently about your start to conference play because then you have Baylor at home on Friday. You have Colorado in Boulder, and that's another opportunity to go on the road and win. But what I've seen the last 3 years is this Kansas team just can't play on the road. They cannot win good games on the road. Yes, they beat NC State, but for whatever reason, every part of their defensive game plan breaks down when they're playing subpar teams on the road. Do not mix anything about it. West Virginia is not good. That's not a good basketball team. They were 10-5 with one of the weakest schedules in the country, and they just dog-walked you in the second half. I mean, 22-1 run. I see that at the Pee-wee level, at YMCA ball, where the kids are double dribbling all the time and tripping over untied shoelaces. That's an embarrassment on everybody involved if you are outscored by and it's happened back-to-back games. They should very much be 0-3 right now with a home loss to TCU and 2 road losses to 2 teams that will be outside the top 8 in the Big 12. But as we always do, is you wash it away, and now it's about the game at hand here. And I hate using must-win games, and I hate putting a lot of pressure on games in damn January. But if you lose tonight, I understand that's the second-ranked team in the nation, and they're undefeated, and there really is no shame in losing to Iowa State. But for Kansas itself, you lose tonight, I put them firmly on the bubble of the NCAA tournament. I really do. Now, there's winnable games after this.
There are 5 as of right now, according to bracketology, by the way.
Yeah. I mean, I feel they are firmly on the bubble if they lose tonight because you're 11-6. Your signature wins include Tennessee, who's just inside the top 25 on a neutral site, NC State, who's slipped up a little bit. But you've lost a lot of those key matchups on the road. And that loss to West Virginia, that's going to sting like hell come March. That will absolutely dictate whether they're a 4 or a 5 or a 5 or a 6 or a 7 or an 8. That absolutely will come back to bite them. But if you win tonight and hand Iowa State their first loss at home, which it's still going in there, Bill Self's 12-2 against top 5 teams in Allen Fieldhouse. So he's got a good track record, absolutely. But he also lost earlier this year when top 5 UConn came to town. They were 12-1 to begin the year. And if they have the defensive game plan they've had the last 3 games, they are going to get blown out. That lead that TCU had in the second half where it was 16 or 18 points, Iowa State's not relinquishing that. It's only going to get uglier. But I'm curious what intensity we see because we have seen the most sleepy, lazy team over the last 3 games. And now's your chance to be turned back up because whatever team we saw in November defensively and all non-conference, that's gone right now. We cannot view this Kansas team as a good defensive squad. They're one of the worst in Division I over the last 3 games, and it's the team that will exploit that over and over again. TJ Otzelberger, has these guys playing at a very effective rate, and they're not scared by this environment whatsoever. They are more than capable of going into Lawrence tonight and winning by double digits. However, this Kansas team with Darren Peterson still is good enough to pull off the upset tonight.
Iowa State is the defensive team that Kansas aspires to be. They are right there with Michigan in defensive rating on KenPom. They're second and not behind Michigan by very much. So, like to Jack's point, you fall behind by 15 in the second half against Iowa State. Good luck chipping into that league with the way Iowa State plays defense. Now, even with the slip-ups, Kansas is still 14 in defensive rating for the season on KenPom. But for as good as we thought KU was defensively a week and a half ago, that's Iowa State. So how does Darren Peterson get his points tonight? How does everybody else get theirs? It'll be fascinating to watch for sure. You can listen to it right here on the channel, Coverage starting at 6 o'clock with the Kansas Nation pregame show and the tip between Iowa State and Kansas from Allen Fieldhouse tonight at 8 o'clock right here on ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM. All right, we keep the college basketball conversation going. ESPN college basketball analyst Mark Adams will join us. We'll get his thoughts on the state of the American, the Big 12. How is Miami of Ohio still doing it in the MAC? They're undefeated, as I mentioned a little bit earlier. And also his thoughts on the state of college basketball, movement of players, etc. What's Mark Adams think about things? We'll find out when we come back.
You're listening to the Shane Dennis Show on ESPN Wichita, 92.3 FM.
What do people with blindness or low vision need to live to the fullest? Just ask them. It's skill development, scientific breakthroughs, knowledge-based jobs, and the same opportunities as everyone else. When you give to Envision, whether it be your time, donations, or your engagement, you make it all possible. That's because at Envision, they don't focus on the disability. They value the ability. They choose not to envision a world without sight, but to envision a world where people who are blind or visually impaired are empowered to reach their full potential. Learn more at envisionus.com.
Get ready for a night to remember. The Good Old Boys Reunion. Good Old Boys, starring Mo Bandy, Joe Stampley, and Johnny Lee. Live and in concert at Seven Clans First Council Casino and Hotel. Friday, January 23rd. Get your tickets at the Seven Clans Players Club. Online at sevenclans.com. My phone, 866-966-1777. Good Old Boys Reunion. Coming to Seven Clans First Council Casino in Newkirk.
So many men and ladies are caring for aging parents while trying to manage careers, kids, and daily life. Kansas PACE understands that strain and provides real support from medical coordination, therapies to transportation, home help, and a social day center. Your loved one receives.
By the way, would you take Kansas plus 140 tonight,
Kansas
straight up
PACE
money
isn't
line?
just
Sure.
a program; it's a partner that brings peace of mind and relief.
I don't
to
know for how
families,
much, but yeah.
services and
I know this is a
parent
really
qualifies
stupid
at
take here, but I think they either
kansaspace.org.
win or they lose by 50.
I would agree. That's not a stupid take.
A swat on one end, a poster on the other. What a sequence. Join the Jayhawks all season on the hardwood. He hit it from way downtown. The legacy continues right here on your home for Kansas Jayhawk basketball.
It's a big one as the Jayhawks host Iowa State. Tip-off is at 8. Crimson and Blue show starts at 6:30. On your home for Kansas Athletics. ESPN Wichita, 92.3 FM.
Take me out for the ball game.
Yes, sir. It's great Trace Adkins' birthday today. It's 12:22 here on a Tuesday, and we keep the basketball talk going. Jump on the hotline right now and talk to ESPN college basketball analyst Mark Adams. He was in the Roundhouse this weekend. Watch Wichita State take on North Texas. Mark, always good to have you on the program. Talk some hoops with you. How are you?
Shane, it was great seeing you on Sunday, and I'm glad to visit with you today.
Absolutely. My pleasure. So far, I know it's early, but so far, according to Mark Adams, the best team in the American is who?
Well, the standings would say Tulane. I would say that there are probably, and of course, Temple's right there. They go into Memphis here tomorrow night. I think there's probably 8 teams that can win this thing, and I think 5 or 6 losses is going to win it. And, I think the schedule's been kind to Tulane so far early on. They did have a good home win against Florida Atlantic. Of course, Florida Atlantic went home and knocked off Memphis this week. But I think there's about 8 teams that can win this thing, including Wichita State. Now, listen, Wichita State has to overcome the demons of close games, which they were able to find a way to win on Sunday. But that's going to be what it's all about. If you can win 4-point games, 5-point games, 3-point games, those are going to be the teams that are going to be right at the top of the standings in this league. It's going to be really competitive. I'm
glad you brought that up as far as the loss numbers are concerned, because if you like analytics at all, even if you don't, it's what we have to go on nowadays, be it the net or Ken Palm or any sort of analytics. But you brought up 6 losses might be tops in the league because of everybody cannibalizing one another. But if you lose 5 or fewer, I feel like maybe you got this conference all to yourself, right?
Yeah, I really do feel that way, and I haven't seen everybody yet in person. I've watched everybody either on replays or tape or live or whatever, and I don't think East Carolina can win it. I don't think UTSA can win it.
Mm-hmm.
After that, it gets kind of iffy as to who can and who can't. So I'm really anxious to see how it plays out week in and week out, because I think just like with Florida Atlantic winning at home, that didn't surprise me at all against Memphis. I mean, I kind of expected that. I think that Charlotte has been a real surprise. I'm not sure how good they are, but so far they've been able to win close games, like the Wichita State game in double overtime. So, and then Rice is another team. I like their point guard play, but I think it's a team that has holes in it. And while I don't think they're going to win it, I think they're going to determine maybe who does win it. We saw that play out in the Roundhouse as well.
No question. Mark Adams joining us, talking college basketball. For those that haven't seen him yet, the record for Memphis really sticks out a little bit. What is different about them this year, in your opinion?
Well, think about this, Shane. Over the last 3 years, Memphis has had a guard, Kendrick Davis, David Jones, P.J. Haggerty, that have averaged over 20 points a game. They've been in the top 10 scorers in the country. Okay. So here's what that meant. When Memphis was breaking down offensively late in the shot clock, guess what? You just give the ball to P.J. Haggerty or David Jones or Kendrick Davis and let them make a play. I mean, Penny Hardaway had a luxury of a go-to guy that late in the shot clock, you don't have to run a play. All you got to do is get the ball to your best player, clear out, and let him score. They do not have that. But Doug McDaniel is a good guard transfer from Kansas State. I know a lot of Kansas State and Wichita fans are familiar with him. He's a really solid guard, averages about 15 points a game, really distributes the ball well. He's smart, a little bit undersized, but he's not a guy that can carry a team offensively. And they don't have a guy that can carry a team offensively. And that's why they've been exposed that way. Now, I still think 1 through 10, they have the best talent in the league, but not by the margins that they've had in the past. It's a slimmer margin. And that's why Memphis is so vulnerable, because they do not have a go-to guy when everything breaks down offensively for Memphis. They do not have a go-to guy that can just go get you a bucket like Kenyon Giles did this past weekend.
Absolutely.
He decided, look, I'm going to win this game. Memphis doesn't have that guy.
What's different about North Texas? They're just a tick off of what we're used to. I know they got a new coach and that sort of thing, so that's understandable to some degree. But what did you notice on Sunday that makes them, I don't know, maybe just a tier below what we're used to seeing out of them?
Well, their best player's hurt and is out for the rest of the year. The transfer from UCLA. I mean, I think that's the biggest reason. And then you look at Jasper Floyd, who was a tremendous leader on that team a year ago. Look at Atten Wright. In fact, I compared Kenyon Giles to Atten Wright during the broadcast today. And Atten Wright was another guy that just made clutch shot after clutch shot after clutch shot. And then, look, if you have your top player who's got size, skill, ability, and can really play, that makes a big difference for the other guys who are transfers from Cleveland State. And I think that's something that we as fans, we as coaches, sometimes we don't appreciate what an injury means to a team. And now you've got Jayson Stevenson. And look, I thought Stevenson played really, really well. I thought Terrell played really well, and they were able to score both double-figure scores for them. But they weren't able to get by anybody. And that's where Jasper Floyd could do that a year ago. Atten Wright could score pretty much at will when he really wanted to, especially when he was on. And that's just not available this season. I thought Cole Franklin played really well for them. But this is a team that doesn't have the roster that they started the season with. And now they're plugging holes because of injuries, and they're just not as talented as we expected them to be at this point in the season.
Talking to Mark Adams, talking American basketball. We'll hop conferences here in just a little bit, but I want to get your thoughts, Mark, on Tulsa. They kind of set the world on fire in the non-conference. Their only loss was by 1 to Kansas State, which looked okay at the time. That was in their 4th game of the year. But now they've lost back-to-back games against North Texas, and they got in a shootout and fell a little short against South Florida, who can really score, by the way. Yep. And then Charlotte's coming up next at Charlotte. What have you seen from Tulsa that has made them so good in the non-conference and likely to be still okay in the conference?
Shane, I think Tulsa is fascinating. Let's go to a couple facts here. And I know radio hates facts, but I'm going to give you some facts and some numbers. So if your team was shooting 50% in conference play, 43% from three, 81% from the free throw line, out rebounding your opponents by 3.
Wow.
And you have a plus assist to turnover ratio, and you're averaging almost 81 points a game. Would you even imagine that team would be 1-2?
At the very least 2-1, if not 3-0.
Yeah, but that's Tulsa. Now, the reason for that, because they beat the crap out of Rice. They beat it by 49, okay? So that skewed some things a little bit. Then they lose by 5 at North Texas. And then, South Florida did a nice job against them. And look, Brian Hodgson can coach too. That's another team that can win this thing. And I watched them in pre-conference play. And, they've got 4 guys that could really score. And David Green now is up his average from almost 16 a game to 24 a game in conference play. And then I really like Tylen Riley. I think Tylen Riley does a lot of interesting things, that he can bang a 3. He can get to the rim. He's really good at the free throw line, late game situations. I mean, he's a real athlete that can score. And then, like I said about David Green, not only scores, but distributes as well and rebounds as well. So look, I think Tulsa's going to be in the mix on this thing. I think they might've got a little bit fat and happy in their non-conference play. Wasn't a great schedule, but they won all the games they needed to win, and played Oklahoma State tough. So that's a team that will be heard from. They're not a 1-2 team in this league.
All right. Here in a week or 10 days or so, you're going to have a MAC game. And that's where Miami of Ohio is hanging out. And they are 17-0. They play Central Michigan tonight, I believe it is, to try to stay.
I'm going to the game. Yep,
okay.
I'm going over there.
Tell us about Miami of Ohio and why they're still undefeated.
They have 6 guys that average double figures, Shane. 6 guys. Travis Steele. So he ends up being the head coach at Xavier, and it just never worked out. Okay, there were a lot of eyebrows raised when Travis Steele was named the head coach at Miami. Right after getting let go at Xavier, I went over to their practice that summer, got a chance to actually speak to their team, and one of their assistant coaches is Christian Smith. You might remember him. He's a real talented kind of 2-man, 3-man at Indiana State when Greg Lansing was there. He's an assistant coach there. I think a brilliant young coach. And they share the ball. They might be the most unselfish basketball team in the country. I mean, their assist to turnover ratio is dang near 2-1. I mean, think about that for a minute. As a team, it's like 1.7-1. They shoot over 53%. They bang the 3 ball, but they've proven even when they don't shoot the 3 ball well, they're good enough defensively. This is the most connected team in the country. And it's also a team that shares the wealth as well as anybody in the country. As I mentioned, 6 guys in double figures, but you're looking at 9 guys, they average between 5 and 15. I mean, it's just an amazing team in every way. And I'm looking forward to seeing them for the first time in person tonight.
I watched them, I believe it was against Toledo, I think. It was kind of by accident, but they piled up like 54, 56 points in the first half. I'm like, man. Get a load of these guys. They can really score. All right. So at the end of January, you're going to have a Big 12 game, Baylor and West Virginia. This maybe is an impossible question to answer, but do you see a clear-cut best team in the Big 12, or is it kind of nip-tuck between Iowa State and Arizona?
I think you're missing one in there too, and that's Houston. I think that there are 3 or 4 teams in the Big 12 and Texas Tech that I really like. And I didn't even talk about BYU and AJ Johnson.
Yeah.
There's 5 teams there that are really good. Look, Arizona has just been phenomenal. And Iowa State and TJ Ottsberger, who I've never had one of his games. I wish I would, because I've heard so many great things about him and the fact of the type of culture that he builds in such a short period of time. There are coaches that talk about culture, but whenever they say that college basketball has become transactional, I have to kind of question, do you really have a culture or do you just have a team?
Yeah.
And TJ has been able to coach, from what I understand. These are like guys that are inside that are telling me what's going on. He coached the same way, hasn't changed any because of NIL. Kelvin Sampson, the same way, hasn't changed any. And that's as good a culture as they get. Grant McCaslin at Texas Tech with Toppin. I just think that that's another team that is just so good. I think there's 5 teams there. I don't think UCF is at that level. But here's the key, Shane. Here's the key. And Kansas experienced this weekend. A guy like Ross Hodge, former head coach at North Texas.
Yeah.
He's going to determine who wins this thing because West Virginia is going to beat some people, just like they beat Kansas this past weekend, especially in Morgantown. That dude can coach. Now, do they have the same level of talent of other teams in the league? Well, North Texas didn't have the same level of talent teams in the American last year, I don't think. But now they were in the top half, but they weren't as good as Memphis. I don't think they were as good talent-wise as good as Fort Atlantic or UAB, but yet they finished second in the league. And Ross Hodge is going to be a guy that can flat-out coach. He's going to beat some people along the way. It's going to determine who wins this thing.
The more things change, more they stay the same, in that if you can coach, your team's got a chance, and coaching still matters. I'm sure that does your heart good, knowing that even in 2026, how even 5 years ago, we weren't anywhere close to where we are now, but the best players still like to be coached, and the best coaches kind of the cream rises to the top, doesn't it?
You know, Shane, I still coach college baseball at the non-scholarship level, which is a whole different animal, by the way. But here's what I've learned in my coaching over the years. Now, I spend 15 minutes one-on-one alone with every player every week. And when I worked for Calvin Sampson, I coached against him as well. I know Grant McCaslin well. He's a friend of mine. And when I go up and down the list of great coaches in this country, they invest time in their players. They treat them just like they did before. It doesn't matter if they're getting paid or whatever. They're going to establish those relationships. And it's not transactional. It's relationship. And what I'm finding is that, and I've seen this throughout my career, look, I can jump a kid as hard as I need to get them ready. Some kids, all you got to do is give them a look. Yeah. Other kids, you got to get in their face. You might use language that mom and dad don't appreciate. But you know what? I can use that language and put my arm around that kid in the end, and he still loves me, and I still love him. Those are the coaches that are still winning today.
So you touched on it briefly, but I want to give you the floor here on however you want to define this, the state of college basketball with revenue share, NIL, freedom of player movement, guys playing 3, 4, 5 different places. Where do you come out on it? And on January the 13th, 2026, give us Mark Adams' definition of the state of college basketball right now.
Well, look, I'll go back to the time when I was doing consulting work for Conference USA in the Sun Belt, and there were several conferences that reached out to me, and it was all around scheduling at that time. But Shane, I was in a meeting with Conference USA, the commissioner, all the presidents, all the athletic directors, and all of the coaches, men and women, by the way. And Tim Floyd, who was the head coach at UTEP at that time, asked me in front of that group, Mark, if you were in charge of college basketball, what would you do? And I said, Tim, your audience is not going to like my answer, but I'm going to give it to you anyway. And I said, I would secede from the union. I mean, you talk about a quiet room. They looked at me like I was, Yoda or somebody, and not in a positive way, just an alien. And I said, now let me tell you why. I said, because in 5 years from now, 10 years from now, all the major conferences, they don't care about you. All they care about is money. Look, this is a business enterprise, and I am a businessman. I know how that's works. It's all about profitability. And because they don't care about you, eventually they are going to leave you. Now, they may not take you out, but they're going to leave you. And that's what's happened in college basketball. And I told them, you can either let someone leave you and dictate your future to you, or you can take control of your own destiny and make your own way. And that's my suggestion to all the powerful people in this room. You'd think different. You can't rely on them. You can only rely on yourselves. And I say the same thing today, Shane. That's where the state of college basketball is. And I would secede from the union if I am not in a major conference. Now, there are programs that want to invest in college basketball because college football is a total different entity. College football, I could argue, has messed up everything, all right? Mm-hmm. And college basketball and everything else has kind of followed along. I think college basketball should go to a model where you've got community and university funded teams. And I say that community and university funded teams that play, they go pay their guys. That's the way it is. That's the way the law reads. And the teams that really want to spend and be a part of that level, they're part of that level. But then there are others that are relegated to another league, just like the European model. And if a community or university decides they want to spend at the higher level and they excel at that, Division II or whatever you want to call it, they want to move up, then they can do that. Likewise, others can move down. But no one's going to listen to me. I already know that. But I think you got to think outside the box. One other thing I want to mention to you.
Yeah.
I tracked. Do we have 2 minutes?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. So, Shane, I tracked college basketball non-conference for the last 25 years. Okay. And every year, the major conferences used to be like the Power 6, when Pac-12 was part of it. Now it's more like the Power 5. But every year until the last 3 years, those teams won 85% of those non-conference games by an average score of 15 points per game. Okay, 85% or 85% wins by 15 points a game. This season, non-conference play, the major conferences won over 92% of non-conference games against teams below the major conference level, and they won those games by over 22 points per game. So now, you think back to my original comment saying those guys are going to leave you. Shane, they're leaving these teams right now. That's the reality.
How you feel about movement of players? There's an interesting comment made about John Calipari, and you get one for free basically, and then after that you need to set out. And you see it every week, Mark. Some teams, some guys playing for 3, 4, 5 different teams by the time their college career is over. Is that fair? You okay with that?
Well, I don't think it's right. It's fair because it's the rules right now. And look, I'm a capitalist. If I can go make more money someplace else, I'm going to do that. And that's what these players are doing right now. And as we look at the landscape of college basketball, especially in the American, look, 75% of all basketball players 1 year ago in the American are not playing in the American this year.
Yeah.
18 out of the top 20 players in the American transferred. The American is the most poached league in America. Now, I think that's going to change this year because the American right now, by net average, is the number 11 conference in the country. And so that talent drain is going to need to be, get the siphon going again and get that lifeblood going again of bringing in the level of players that the American expects. But that's the reality of it right now. And I don't see anybody that really has any leadership that's going to make a difference in this right now, Shane. That's what I see. I think, look, I'm sort of beyond that. And nobody would ask me to do it anyway. But I just don't see anybody stepping up. Like, I don't see college basketball coaches. All they do is complain. They complain when there were too many rules. Now they're complaining when there's not enough rules. Give me a break.
Yeah.
They need leadership, but everybody's got an opinion. But you know what opinions are like? Everybody's got one, right?
That's right.
I want to get into, but we need someone to step up and say, I am your leader, and here's where we are going. And the NCAA is never going to do that.
You hear maybe more so in football, Mark, about the players eventually one of these days going to form a unionize. And maybe I'm being too naive here, but why would they need it? They get to come and go wherever they want and make basically, top dollar with whoever will pay that. Basketball is maybe a little bit dissimilar, but not totally. So having to unionize, I question why that's would even be on the table, and maybe it'll never happen anyway.
Yeah, these guys have freedom of movement. They can negotiate their own deals. They can break those deals. I mean, look, again, I'm a capitalist. As a former coach, Shane, all I ever wanted was an unfair advantage. All right? That's all I ever wanted was an unfair advantage. And you know what? Players today, they have an unfair advantage as to the level of freedom they have to go and do whatever they like. And there's no legislation to keep them from doing that. And if I was advising them, I'd say the less rules, the better for you guys, because you're making money right now and you're making good money. And I would keep riding that gravy train as far as I could.
Yes or no? In the next 5 years, we're going to see college players traded for one another.
I think that's a good question. I hadn't thought about that one.
Well, and the reason I ask is, and I don't know if they're all uniform or not, but these players, in essence, sign contracts to play at their particular schools in order to make whatever it is they make. And if the contracts are uniform, what's stopping anybody from making a trade?
Shane, I just had this thought. What if John Calipari and Paul Mills? Okay, we'll just use those two. They're obviously not doing this, okay? I don't want to get a bunch of emails from people. But let's say that Calipari has a kid at Arkansas that's not playing for him, not quite working out. and Paul's got a good player that John wants, and they both get together and they say, hey, listen, would you be interested in so-and-so? Because I'm interested in your guy. And after the non-conference season, and they say, what if we arrange for both guys to transfer? I'll give you my guy, maybe throw in another player.
And cash considerations, since the money's above board now, we can involve some dough in this too.
I mean, under these circumstances, it could happen.
Final question for you. You choked me up there.
Yep.
Did you go to Doodah Diner? And if so, what did you have when you were here?
So, you know what? My schedule was nuts. I did not.
Oh.
Yes. I went to Doodah Diner, but I got there at 2:00 when they were closing.
Oh.
Okay? So I didn't get to go in because I was busy. I interviewed Will Berg, who, by the way, had a great interview. I love the kid. Kenyon Giles and Paul. So I got in at noon. I'm busy for a couple hours, so I don't get to Doodah. Then the next morning, North Texas shoots at 7:30.
Yep.
Wichita State goes at 9. I go back to the arena at 12:30. I had no time to get to the Doodah. So next time.
All right.
I did walk along the River Rock, which was great.
Fair enough. Mark, always appreciate talking ball with you. Have a great rest of your week.
Thanks, Shane. You do a great job, man. I'm a big fan.
Thank you. Mark Adams, ESPN college basketball analyst, talking a little college hoops with us here today on the show. If you missed any part of that, check out the podcast after the show. Jack does a good job of getting that up and turn around after we're done. So check it out at shortly after 2 if you want to listen to Mark Adams again, or if you missed some of it and just want to hear that for the first time. When we come back, it's our Top Golf Twitter question. That's next.
You're listening to the Shane Dennis Show on ESPN Wichita.
Hey, football fans, break out the Bendito on game day with El Bendito Yankee Tequila. It's an ultra-premium tequila made from 100% Blue Weber agave from the highlands of Jalisco, Mexico. There's no fake colorings or flavors in their verified additive-free Blanco, Reposado, and Añejo. Pick it up at your local store or ask for it at your favorite restaurant or bar. Always win with the undefeated flavor of El Bendito Yankee, the official
Jack,
tequila of game
bring
day.
up, you don't have to play
And
it for
you
me,
can go
but
to
can you bring up
LBDoYankee.com
that exchange from that gal in Jacksonville for the 1 o'clock segment?
On that
already
heavy
loaded
shelf
up and ready
you
to
hung
go.
yesterday.
Cool, buddy. It just reminded
Turns
me.
out you didn't use enough anchors. Wait, you didn't use any anchors? Now you've got an open floor plan. Trendy. And if you have the wrong home insurance, you could need a wall of money to fix this. So get home insurance with Allstate and be better protected from mayhem, like me.
Based on coverage and limits selected, subject to terms, conditions, and availability. Allstate Vehicle and Property Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
What do people with blindness or low vision need to live?
Oh, just confirming
Just
too,
ask
when
them.
I'm gone
Skill
for
development,
spring training, I can't remember if I
scientific
texted this.
breakthroughs,
You guys
knowledge-based
officially
jobs,
now have
and the same
Dylan.
opportunities
Okay.
as everyone else. When you give to Envision, whether it be your time, donations,
Sounds
or
like I
your
got him
engagement,
Saturday
you
afternoon,
make
too.
it all possible. That's because at Envision, they don't focus
You have a
on
show
the
Saturday
disability.
afternoon?
I
They
do, believe it
value
or not.
The ability.
From
They
2 to
choose not
from
to
2
envision
to
a world
3
without
out at
sight,
Gillies.
but to envision a world where people who are blind or
Mercy.
visually impaired are empowered to reach their full potential. Learn more at envisionus.com.
Toppers Plus Truck and RV is your home for Rhino Linings Eco Coat, a spray-on
The divisional
RV roof
round
coating
needs to
for
know
the
what I
ultimate
think about it
protection of your
for an
RV.
hour.
It's 100% seamless, won't crack or peel, UV resistant, lasts 3 times longer than your traditional rubber sheet
Is
roof,
125
and includes a
Royal
Toppers
segment?
Plus lifetime leak-free guarantee.
wild card
Get
weekend
your
look
free
back.
RV roof inspection at Toppers Plus Truck and RV. Upgrade your RV at 333 Northwest Street or check us out at toppersplusks.com.
Make your truck work for you!
AMR Clinical Wichita East is excited to welcome adults 18 and older living with type 2 diabetes to take part in an innovative clinical research study focused on weight management. If you're overweight or obese, have been on stable diabetes therapy for at least 3 months, and meet additional criteria, you may qualify. Participants will receive all study-related care and investigational medication or placebo at no cost and may be compensated up to $7,700 for time and travel. Call AMR Clinical Wichita East today, 316-867-6329, or visit amr-clinical.com.
The College Football Playoff National Championship. The magical run by the 10th-ranked Miami Hurricanes continues.
There's no bad play, no bad call, no injury that we can't overcome.
When they face the top-ranked and undefeated Indiana Hoosiers.
All I can say is go on you!
Coverage begins Monday at 6:30 on your home for college football. ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM.
Trevor Rabin from the group Yes. Born Day. Time now for the Top Golf Twitter question. And today, if you're looking for the perfect venue to host your next big event here in Wichita, check out Top Golf. Whether it's a corporate event, client appreciation night, birthday bash, fundraiser, or just want to go out and have some fun, Top Golf Wichita has got you covered. Tee off your next event, Top Golf, today. Visit Top Golf Wichita online or call to reserve your date. That number is 316-394-4057. That's 394-4057. Couple things here that we're going to knock out here in the Twitter portion of the show. First of all, if you want some free stuff from Top Golf, text the word golf to 316-247-0923. We'll just throw that out there right now. Want free stuff? Text the word golf, 316-247-0923. The question is, and it is a continuation from yesterday. I had 4 former Weekend Update anchors from Saturday Night Live up there and had you vote on your favorite. And I hesitated to make it a tournament because I didn't think we could come up with 16 solid ones. There have been that many, or combos over the years. But I may cap it at 12. So round 2 is up right now at the behest a little bit of John on Twitter, but he didn't have to prod me too much. Round 2 of the Weekend Update hosts. Who you got on Saturday Night Live? Dennis Miller, Jimmy Fallon and Tina Fey, Colin Jost and Michael Che, Amy Poehler and Seth Meyers. Those are the ones that you have to choose from if you want to vote and repost. We would really appreciate that. So text the word golf to 316-247-0923. Also, go to our Twitter page and vote. Hook us up. Please help us out. All right. Jack, before we get on with it, and this is lost, and it might not be because it might be, well, revisited at some point this week. It's still early. But it was announced earlier that Kauffman Stadium will look a little different in 2026 because the Royals are moving the outfield fences in a few different spots. According to the team and a diagram provided, the left and right field corners will be pulled in 9 feet from 356 and 353 to 347 and 344. The previous distances of 373 in both left and right fields, which, by the way, I don't think is marked on the fence, those particular dimensions. So if you're confused a little bit, they're moving them in from there, but it's just not painted on the wall. I'm pretty sure of that. But anyway, be that as it may, the distances in straightaway right and left will be moved in 9 feet closer. Left center and right center will be moved in 10 feet. And the level of the walls, the height, will be lowered a little bit. Deepest left center, deepest right center, and center will not change. Jack, your knee jerk, and you probably have it locked on about it. What do you think about the Royals moving the fences in a little bit?
Yeah, I'm all for it. I mean, there is nothing more infuriating than seeing that ball die in the cavernous outfield of Kauffman Stadium. And I get it. There's going to be people that go, well, what about the other teams that come in here and put up 12 runs and have 5 home runs? Well, yeah, they're not playing 81 games a year at Kauffman Stadium. Baseball's odd like that. I can go to watch a game at Yankee Stadium or Daikin Park in Houston, and it might be a 1-0 game. Those are hitter-friendly ballparks. Or I can go to Cincinnati with the Yankees and the Dodgers in town, and maybe they don't hit a home run in that game. That's just the oddity of it. But you look over the course of an entire season, this is good for the Royals. And I'm glad J.J. Piccolo and the analytics department, zeroed in on this. And it's going to be ready by their first home game of the year against the Twins right after they come back from playing the Braves in Atlanta. This feels like a great way to give some of your players an offensive boost that they need. This helps Bobby Witt Jr. This helps Vinny Pasquantino. Hell, it helps just about everybody in this lineup. Now, here is the misconception, though, because there is a lot of people out there. There are a lot of people that say, well, Kauffman Stadium is just a pitcher's ballpark. It doesn't favor offense. Technically, that's not correct.
Right.
In every way, shape, and form, does favor the offense except for one thing.
And home runs.
That's home runs.
Yeah.
You have a cavernous outfield. Let's just put 2 and 2 together here. Well, there's more space. There's more green grass to find, a ball to get down or find a hole somewhere. But to get the ball out of the ballpark, that's been incredibly difficult for a long, long time. Now, they did it back in 95, I believe, and they had it for about a decade-ish where they brought the fences in.
2004, they moved them back to the original.
Moved them back,
yeah.
And I honestly have confidence, too, that the Royals are in a good position with their pitching staff where they're able to do this. It will feel different. There are definitely going to be some times where the Royals give up a cheapie, where they have a home run that would have been a fly ball out on the warning track at Kauffman Stadium. But I look at this offense, and I see a few guys that can really benefit from this. In fact, a good buddy of mine, Josh Kaiser, he's been a longtime Royals podcaster and has a good presence on social media. If you were to use this for Jack Caglione last year, his average goes from 157 to 190 and goes from 7 home runs to 15. That's how drastic this difference can be. And the offense needs it, quite frankly. I don't believe this is going to be bad for the pitching staff where it's just you're going to go from top 5 in baseball to bottom 5. But I could see a world in which this offense goes from bottom 5 in home runs to maybe middle of the league. There's some guys that can run into more than a few. I mean, Michael Garcia turns in from a 15 home run guy to maybe a 20 home run guy, and you get him that 2020 season. Bobby goes from a 30 home run guy to a 40. Vinny Pasquantino, same thing there. And then you'll have guys such as maybe, Isaac Collins, who you're bringing over, who I look at as a 10 home run bat. Maybe he's a 15 home run bat. And how often, Shane, did we talk about throughout the course of the 2025 season why it's so hard for the Royals to come back from games? Well, because they need 3 hits to drive somebody in. They need 3 singles. This gives you a little added bonus here where, a couple of those deep fly balls, they are going to carry over the fence. And chicks dig the long balls. Home runs are what drive the sport here, Shane. And I would like to see Kauffman Stadium favor a little bit more power because that's a big part of the game. And how many free agents out there do you think haven't even considered Kauffman Stadium because they don't want to have their home run numbers go down from 35 to 25.
Fair.
And then you're making less money.
Yeah.
You think Kyle Schwarber had any inkling of coming to Kansas City? Not really, nor did he think of going anywhere else other than Philadelphia or Pittsburgh. But that's the point I'm trying to drive home here. It's not going to be as daunting to some of those power hitters of, I would like my home run numbers to stay up. And going into 100-degree weather in July with a deep ballpark where I have to really muscle one up to even get it out to right field, I'd rather it be easier on us. And I'm fascinated to know how this helps the offense, but I know that guys like Connor Dawson, Alex Zumwalt, and Marcus Timms have to be smiling because to have just a few more home runs this year, it could go a long way in improving this offense.
It will be interesting. It will be a little bit different. Singles, doubles, and triples have always been a easy-ish place for hitters when it comes to Kauffman Stadium. Home runs, not so much. Tied for 26th last year, right next to Cleveland, by the way, interestingly. All right, when we return, Jordan's Juicy Takes, brought to you by Booth Creek Wagyu. Jordan Foote joins us next.
Wichita's new sports leader, ESPN Wichita, 92.3 FM, KKGQ, Newton. Follow the Shockers on Wichita's new sports leader, ESPN Wichita, 92.3 FM.
I feel like it's kind of been like a burden on our whole season. We've had a lot of 1 or 2 possession losses, so we can't keep having these same things. You can't say, well, we're right there. Well, we've been right there a few different times.
Your home for the best Wichita State basketball coverage all season long is right here on ESPN Wichita.
Jordan on 4.
Hi, this is Brian Davis with Davis Liquor Outlet, and this is Blake Davis with a deal on 19 Crimes Cali Wines.
What point do you want that audio playing?
What's that?
Kim Crawford.
At what point do you want the Liam Cohen exchange?
It will probably be toward the end of our chat.
Owned and operated.
Okay.
Wichita owned, Wichita proud.
Big or small, every project deserves a win. From updating your fireplace to creating the perfect patio, Lusco Brick and Stone gives you the strength and style to get it done right. For more than a century, Wichita families and builders have trusted Lusco for brick, stone, and hardscape materials that outlast the competition and bring lasting beauty to every project. Check out their work online at luscobrick.com. Lusco Brick and Stone, Wichita strong since 1907.
Looking for an exciting new job? Gillies Park City is open and hiring. Join our team at the newest premier entertainment destination in the area. Come work where the music's loud, the energy's high, and every shift feels legendary. We're hiring environmental services, cooks, servers, bartenders, food runners, restaurant hosts, facilities, and more. Join the Gillies team for the ride of your life. Head to playgillies.com and apply today.
Pay heed, all who enter.
A swat on one end, a poster on the other. What a sequence.
Join the Jayhawks all season on the hardwood.
He hit it from way downtown.
The legacy continues right here on your home for Kansas Jayhawk basketball.
It's a big one as the Jayhawks host Iowa State. Tip-off is at 8. Crimson and Blue show starts at 6:30 on your home for Kansas Athletics. ESPN Wichita, 92.3 FM.
Jordan Foote joining us now. Jordan's Juicy Takes, brought to you by Booth Creek Wagyu. Sports fans know the best games deserve the best food, and nothing beats Booth Creek Wagyu, raised right here in Kansas. Whether it's burgers on the grill, steak night at home, or tailgating before the big game, BCW brings you premium flavor, unmatched tenderness, and a true farm-to-table experience. Head on in to 21st and Webb. Ask for Jeannie. Tell them I sent you. And go to boothcreekwagyu.com for more information and their cuts of meats, and you can order that way as well, changing the way America eats beef. All right, Jordan, we've got the wild card weekend in the rearview mirror. We get ready for the divisional round. And boy, the first, 4 games were must-see, pretty much all of them. The Rams, Panthers, Eagles, and 49ers, Bears, Packers, Bills, Jags, of course, as well. And then the last 2 were not quite as exciting. But your biggest takeaways from Wild Card Weekend, maybe what surprised you the most?
I think it lived up to even more than the hype, and everybody was upset that Patrick Mahomes isn't in the playoffs, Lamar Jackson isn't in the playoffs, Joe Burrow isn't in the playoffs. It was fantastic. It was a great weekend. I can't remember which media member said it. It was either ESPN or NFL Network, but he went up and said, I didn't think about those quarterbacks one time. And if you're a Chiefs fan, maybe you did and thought, man, it really would have been nice to take advantage of a kind of vulnerable field this year. I think that's becoming more and more evident as all of these teams have flaws. But like you said, the first 4 games were absolutely awesome. And I think even in the last 2 games, yes, Houston won the final one by 24, but still showing a little bit of chinks in their armor. The Patriots offense did not look awesome against the Chargers. So there's no bona fide, awesome, guaranteed lock this year, which is what we thought coming in. And I don't think that whatever the Seahawks or Broncos show now that they're back in the fold is going to change our kind of opinion on the whole playoff field as a group.
Your boy, Matthew Stafford, 34-31 over those plucky Panthers who hung around and came back. But I don't know about you, Jordan. I know you're a Matt Stafford guy, but not at any point when there was plenty of time left to go in the game did I think the Rams weren't going to win that game. But they still had to go out and do it, and they did.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. Coming out of the half, I didn't feel great. And really when Puka had that drop before the half, I was like, okay, well, you're playing with your food, and we saw during the regular season what happens there. But once they got the ball back, ironically, if you nerded out and got the win probability in front of you and all of that, their probability wasn't great when that happened. Like you would think when there's more time on the clock, you should feel better regardless of if it's tied or you're down. That last drive, there's no one better in this current playoff field as it is. Maybe Josh Allen, given what he can do with his legs, but Stafford in terms of being the trustworthy guy. And he started off that game fantastic, then had the thumb injury or the finger injury and was throwing the ball all over the place, and then locked in for a legendary comeback drive. Props to the Panthers, but I think in the end, the better team won, and I think we're going to be better for it for the rest of the playoffs.
They play the Bears next in Soldier Field, and then probable comeback by the Bears, trailing double digits quite late in that game. They went on not a walk-off, but practically 31-27. For the 20th time, I'll ask you about the Bears now. You going to eat crow yet, or are you still going to poo-poo them and say the Rams are going to kill them?
I don't think the Rams are going to kill them.
Okay.
I would pick LA to win, but the Bears are scrappy, and Caleb Williams is very scrappy. He has the little bit of Mahomes in him, a little bit of Josh Allen, a little bit of, Aaron Rodgers in his prime, like that ability to extend plays, make the insane throws. His sack evasion year over year has gotten a ton better because that was a big problem in his rookie season. So I'm not discounting the Bears in terms of having a real shot to win that game. I still don't think that they're a championship caliber team. And they kind of remind me of Washington last year where they had the quote unquote Cinderella run. And I don't mean to completely discredit, but at the end of the day, not many people are going to pick the Chicago Bears to advance to the Super Bowl. And technically, if you make the NFC title game, you are classified as a contender. So I will 1,000% eat all the crow and be due to do that if they beat the Rams. But I'd pick LA to win maybe a 3 to 4 point game with Chicago giving them a tough run.
I'm interested to see how cold it's going to be this weekend.
Yeah.
With the dome team factor in there. Hey, why is there, Jordan, always so much noise around the Eagles and there's hardly ever any around the 49ers?
It's so weird. I think that the Eagles, it's just the turmoil, like the drama makes headlines and the combination of winning the Super Bowl, but also a mini side tangent. All year, people were making the big ruckus about how tough it is to pursue another Super Bowl, and the organization itself said it's really draining and tiring and life is hard. The Chiefs just had the best run in the history of the sport for 5 or 6 years. Never once until the Super Bowl last year, when I think one of the quarterback coaches said that, like, they almost get scared to coach Patrick Mahomes sometimes, so you don't want to waste the opportunity. But no one talked about how tiring and draining and tough it is to do that. So Philly, I don't feel bad for them one bit. They were a team that kicked and screamed their way through the season, and I was thinking maybe the championship pedigree would shine through, and I think it is for San Fran, which ironically, they don't have any Super Bowls in this time frame, but Kyle Shanahan gets that team going every single year when they aren't completely decimated by injuries. And now they're pretty darn close, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But he is a phenomenal coach. Brock Purdy he just has that it factor, like the moxie that you want in a quarterback, regardless of how many boneheaded plays there are. And man, Shaney is one of the top 5 in the game pretty easily. And I don't know if you're scrolling the timeline right now, but another top 5 coach just had a little bit of breaking news.
Go for it.
Mike Tomlin has informed the team that he is stepping away from coaching. Rappaport described it as a break. That is a surprise for me. Mike Tomlin strikes me as a guy who wouldn't do it unless he's giving it 1,000%. So I do understand that. He deserves better than what Pittsburgh has given him over the past handful of years. So I am floored that he is stepping away. I don't think it's necessarily going to be jumping into another job right away. But, man, do I think Mike Tomlin's done coaching? Absolutely not. I'd be surprised if he hung it up. He's still plenty young enough. I think he has enough fire left in the tank. But if that doesn't tell you anything about what Aaron Rodgers is going to do, I think that you get your answer right there.
I'm hoping he's behind somebody's desk this time next year. I want to hear what he has to say away from the headset. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no doubt. If he did like the Belichick route for a year and a half, or even the Saban route, however you want to look at it, and did the media part, it'd be so much fun. And maybe if he does come back, he works and maybe eases his way into an advisory role. And I don't know what the future's going to hold for him, but man, he is a must watch whenever he is talking. Like, I always want to tune in and see what he has to say.
Yep.
And that's, as a coach, I think he'd be 10, 15 times more interesting as a media personality.
What about the fate of John Harbaugh? Where do you see this ending?
That's weird, man. It's really, really, really strange, and everyone wants to compare it to the Andy Reid situation. And I get it. Maybe if Andy Reid does what he did this year 2 more times, I don't think next year would be the end of the line unless it was just an absolute travesty of a season. But Stefanski is one of the top names out there. The Ravens job, obviously, Harbaugh isn't coming back to that. I think you bumped him the Giants, and he was lining up an interview with them. The Raiders are kind of sneaky. And
why wouldn't they move heaven and earth to get John Harbaugh?
Yeah. I think, man, it's one of those things where everyone says, okay, well, he wasn't perfect in Baltimore. You aren't getting a flat-out elite coach, but, like, you're getting a better coach than what you had. If you have an opening, that's not even up for interpretation. So I think you have to do it. I think that he still has plenty left, and you deal with the time management, you deal with some of the end of game stuff, the personnel decisions he makes. I think John Harbaugh is a good coach, and I'm not anticipating like Atlanta or a team like that, Arizona. I'd be surprised. So I'm thinking Cleveland might be off the table, especially without a quarterback. So you're looking for a team that has a clear building block. Miami would be interesting to see what happens there as they maybe move off of Tua. But if you're stacking up the field right now, he's got to be the headline guy.
Back to the field now, and thank you for that. I wish that we would get Patriots-Texans in the AFC Championship game, but we're not going to. They play each other this weekend. Steelers only got 6 on the Texans, and the Chargers only got 3 against the Patriots. Man, I don't want to discredit New England in any way, but watching that game last night with the Texans and the Steelers, man, that defense, they look like they got 15 guys out there.
It's ridiculous. And it feels like they have 15 in the secondary and up front. Like their front 7 feels like a front 14, and then the back guys feel like they have 7 or 8 deep. Like it is a crazy defense. They ironically don't switch it up a ton in terms of coverage. Like there was that graphic that came out in terms of variety, and to no one's surprise, Steve Spagnuolo was at the very top of that list, but the Texans were at the very bottom. They were going to be very consistent in what they do and say, we have the guys beat us. And right now teams don't freaking know how to do it. They just can't. Like they can't beat the pressure package that they have with the ability to only run 4 guys and penetrate the pocket. On the back end, they have Stingley, they have Lassiter, they have so many good players. The safety group is solid. Like this is one of the best defenses, and I'm not exaggerating, of my 26-year lifetime. I don't think that's crazy to say. They are awesome. If CJ Stroud can just be solid and Nico Collins can make a couple plays and the run game can be okay, they have a chance to take down New England. I'm not necessarily even ruling out picking Houston to do it. Like defense, maybe this year is going to win a championship. It's going to come down to a close game, one stop. And I mean, what other team would you trust to get that if it's a close game other than the Houston Texans?
CJ Stroud did his best to make that a close game, but even he couldn't do it.
Yeah.
He's
he's weird, and he's a very strange eval because he was so good his rookie year. He's been banged up. Like you can see flashes of it, and I think he has the tools, but for whatever reason, it just hasn't clicked for him.
Well, he's certainly benefiting from having a top flight defense. They play each other coming up on Sunday. It looks like the Saturday game in the AFC is the Broncos and the Bills. Fairly intrigued about this one too. The Bills pulled it out against the Jags 27-24. I don't think to very many people's surprise, kind of similar to the Rams comeback. You never really got the feeling, I didn't, that Josh Allen was going to be stopped. And he wasn't. They win 27-24, get an interception at the end on Trevor Lawrence. But on to Mile High. It's the Broncos and the Bills. What's your interest factor here?
I'm super intrigued. And I made a couple dollars banking on Buffalo to come back against Jacksonville while that game was happening because it just, like you said, seemed like a no-brainer that the better quarterback would find a way. And I really can't. I know people are probably tired of hearing about Josh Allen, but that guy is just something else. He is easily the best quarterback left in this field. Denver, the defense is awesome. I don't think quite as awesome as last season, but still really, really, really good. It's going to come down to Bo Nix, and like in a vacuum, I don't trust Bo Nix nearly as much as I trust Josh Allen, but also Buffalo that defense is kind of streaky and like opportunistic, so it kind of bails them out when the run defense is atrocious and they get beat on the back end a little bit. They have a weird knack for being bad until they need you to make a play, and then they can do it. And if Allen shows up, I know that they lost Gabe Davis. I know that Brandon Cooks is their wideout 1.5 right now.
Yeah.
Like, it just isn't very good. And James Cook looked pretty bad against the tough Jacksonville defense, but I think it's going to be a close game. Wouldn't be surprised one bit if Buffalo found a way. I'm going to lean Denver just because of the home field and the defense, but man, it's really, really hard to count out Allen and the Bills.
Doesn't it seem like the Rams with Stafford and the Bills with Allen can score a touchdown kind of whenever they want? Not everybody, you get that feel, but you definitely do with the Rams and the Bills. I do anyway.
Yes, and they both kind of played, obviously, different styles of football because they're two different caliber of athletes, but the tendency to seem unstoppable, and then they make the most boneheaded play you've ever considered or seen with your own two eyes. Like, they are very, very similar in that regard, and I think that's what makes Patrick Mahomes, for the most part, so unique, is he is, for most of his career, eliminated that and been consistently on top of his P's and Q's. But Buffalo, if Allen's on, can will them to touchdowns when they need. Like a late game scenario, it's those two quarterbacks, Stafford and Allen, that you would trust to get something done, and then a pretty sizable gap, I think, and then everybody else.
No doubt. No doubt. They make quarterbacking look easy when it's really, really getting right down to it. Okay, so let's talk about something I haven't brought up yet. And so I'm going to put Jack to work here, and then we're going to have a little, maybe workshop this a little bit. In the aftermath of the Bills-Jags game in Jacksonville, Bills winning 27-24, in the post-game presser, Liam Cohen took to the podium, the Jaguars head coach, and a female media member named Lynn Jones had a question. Well, it wasn't really even a question. Here's the exchange between Lynn Jones and Jaguars head coach Liam Cohen after the game.
You hold your head up, all right? You guys have had a most magnificent season. You did a great job out there today. So you just hold your head up, okay? And ladies and gentlemen, Duval, you the one, all right? You keep it going. We got another season, okay? Take care and much continued success to you and the entire team.
Okay. So if you had a hard time hearing that, that was basically a pep talk from Lynn Jones to Liam Cohen. Hold your head up high, that sort of thing. You had a great year. Where do you come out on this? Because if you follow Twitter at all and sports like Jordan and I do, invariably you've seen opinions that people, media members have had, and fans alike, on that little exchange right there. What did you think of Lynn Jones starting the presser with that?
I'm going to lead with the bad, and I promise there is good at the end of it. There probably is more good than bad. I totally get why it's inappropriate, why it's a bad look, why it sets a less than ideal example for young journalists. Even in 2026, you should be cheerleading the team, stuff like that. If you're going to say it at all, which you probably shouldn't do, should be done to the side or go through the comms team or walk up to him after the press conference, find a different channel to do it. Technically, you are taking away from time that people could ask questions about the game. I completely understand. I get the dissatisfaction with it. I'm not trying to say that Lynn Jones was necessarily right in that. As someone who was taught fairly recently in the past handful of years, the journalistic principles that you should carry every day, especially when you're at a press box. And for me, someone who doesn't really do that much anymore and does a lot more remote coverage, that still becomes important. Like, I think it's even more important if you're going out there and facing people after games. But, and there is a but in there, why are we so freaking mad? Why, like, of all the things in the world we could be just furious about, why are people doing the holier than thou approach and going after someone? Like, you cannot pull Lynn Jones's card. She's been doing this for over 2 decades, a black media member. The Jacksonville Free Press is, I think she said it's like one of 230 of their kind newspapers that's still running, the African-American newspaper. She's a member of different associations. Like, she is a pro at her job by title. And I think the work that she's done probably reflects that. Now, again, not saying she didn't, I guess you can label it a mistake or a misjudgment or a transgression, whatever you want to call it. She should not have a credential removed and taken away. She shouldn't be losing a job. She isn't a stain on journalism and embarrassment. That couldn't be further from the truth. I do think that there's a time and place for that. And if you're a journalist, it's just very, very rare. And the time would be after the media availability. But people are acting like, okay, you're taking away from a question about his 3rd and 8 call or whatever, like any insert question about the game that you know the answer anyway. That part I don't really care about. It's, you just don't do stuff like that. However, for the outrage level, it's ridiculous. This is something that should have been, okay, well, that's a heartwarming story. Like, we can't be mad at people for being good humans and being nice and being warm and being kind. So I'm frankly more upset at how mad people were. I'm upset at the upset rather than what she did, that I think, yes, you probably shouldn't have done it, but I don't really care that it happened.
Both can be true, right? That there wasn't anything egregious about what Lynn Jones said. It was just out of the ordinary, and it was against the quote unquote the book. You know, the book says don't cheer in the press box. The book says don't wear the team jersey. The book, you know, if you're covering a team, even in 2026, there are certain, I guess, rules of etiquette. I'm not exactly sure where they were born, but probably now in 2026, they're more flexible than they ever have been. And I would side with you. I would side with you. I'm a little still enough old school that probably shouldn't be leading the press conference. It's probably a one-on-one after he gets off the podium, maybe put your arm around him and say, hey, coach, and then go into that where not everybody hears it. But on the other hand, I can understand the John Q. Public saying, what about a random act of kindness? What's wrong with that? You know, I can totally see that as well. But just Google or go on Twitter if you're not familiar and type in Lynn Jones, and you'll see all kinds of really visceral reaction in some cases. But like I said, Jordan, I think we're in agreement. Both things can be true. She probably shouldn't have said that in that setting, but it's not the worst thing I've ever heard either. And, you know, in my lifetime, in seeing guys like Bobby Knight, John Chaney, Dennis Green, Jim Mora, guys like that. I'm not Mike Ditka, you know. I wonder how they would have reacted if Lynn Jones said that to them.
Yeah, it's interesting. And the viral quote tweet, I think it was from Mark Long of AP, said nothing awesome about fans/fake media. Doing stuff like that should be embarrassing for the people who credentialed her and her organization, wasted time for those of us actually working. Like, brother, we need to be angry about something else. There are so many things under the sun that we can be much more devoted to with our energy than somebody being a little bit too nice and maybe a tad inappropriate at a press conference. Like, I just don't understand the huge outrage. Like the CEO of journalism didn't speak out and say, hey, this is something you can't do. So frankly, I just don't get why people are so mad. It is wrong, but on the wrong scale, it's about a 2 out of 10.
On the other hand, I took some exception with those pushing back at, you're a fantasy football writer, for example, because one of those guys weighed in. So there was that back and forth, like, well, your credibility is crap because you write about fantasy football instead of actually writing about the game. And there's the rhetoric that, oh, God forbid we get to the boring, dumb questions that aren't even questions, that don't really have to do with the game. So taking up 39 seconds or whatever that was isn't taken away from your lack of intelligence and the questions that you asked. Talk about getting lost in the white noise. There were some ancillary fires that sparked up after that.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And in 2026, really the post-COVID world, and maybe even a year or two before that, what is covering a sport actually? If you're a writer, you can do it for any publication. You can do it for any website. You can do it in any form. You can be a columnist. You can do game caps, you can be in the field, you can edit. Like, there are so many different routes that you can take that I think, yes, you technically do bear maybe a little bit more responsibility to be professional if you're going out there in person, but also you're out there grinding, putting in more time, more hours, more man or lady power than the people who are at home that have the advantages of covering remotely. Like, it is a blessing to be able to do that. So, who are we to go out of our way to say this person needs to have their credential taken away? Okay, well, you're flying to Jacksonville, next week to do something else. Like, we just need to be less angry about this. Is my abbreviated take.
No doubt. And if you want to dip your toe into this controversy and you're not familiar with it, and you're on Twitter, I suggest that you look up Adam Schefter on Twitter at Adam Schefter and look at the reaction of his saying this, and I'm paraphrasing, this is an awesome exchange between a reporter and Liam Cohen. Hundreds and hundreds of little tentacles that Twitter is known for, and that's not a compliment, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
All right, Jordan's Juicy Takes brought to you by Booth Creek Wagyu. Jordan, good stuff. Give us your AFC and NFC championship combatants looking forward.
Oh, man. Okay, I think I am going to go with the Rams in the NFC to take down the Bears. On the other one, I really want San Fran to win because I just like that story and like that they're overcoming so much adversity. But I do think Seattle is going to get it done. So it'll be a rematch of that late regular season game that was a barn burner for sure. On the AFC side, negative confidence in any of these teams really, but I'll go Denver to barely defend home field against Buffalo, facing Drake May will have a MVP moment, and it'll be barely enough to beat the Texans team that I just have, kind of like San Fran, a ton of respect for. But I do think that the fortune and they get kind of gassed out at the end of this run here.
At Footnoted on Twitter, heavy.com is where you can find his stuff at Heavy on Sports. If you're going to go on Twitter too. Jordan, good stuff as always. Appreciate you.
Yep, you too, buddy.
All right, Jordan Foote, Jordan's Juicy Takes, brought to you by Booth Creek Wagyu. Looking back, what were the games and wild card weekend that were the most fun, and what may translate into the divisional round, and where I'll be on Saturday? All that next.
You're listening to the Shane Dennis Show on ESPN Wichita.
What do people with blindness or low vision need to live to the fullest? Just ask them. It's skill development, scientific breakthroughs, knowledge-based jobs, and the same opportunities as everyone else. When you give to Envision, whether it be your time, donations, or your engagement, you make it all possible. That's because at Envision, they don't focus on the disability. They value the ability. They choose not to envision a world without sight, but to envision a world where people who are blind or visually impaired are empowered to reach their full potential. Learn more at envisionus.com.
Oh, I can't believe tax season is here already. Look at all this info I have to enter.
Phil's small accounting firm is growing in numbers.
Why didn't I take that typing class in high school?
A data entry specialist could really help him in a crunch.
I got blisters on my fingers.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Hey, football fans, break out the Bendito on game day with El Bendito Yankee Tequila. It's an ultra-premium tequila made from 100% Blue Weber agave from the highlands of Jalisco, Mexico. There's no fake colorings or flavors in their verified additive-free Blanco, Reposado, and Añejo. Pick it up at your local store or ask for it at your favorite restaurant or bar. Always win with the undefeated flavor of El Bendito Yankee, the official tequila of game day. And you can go to elbenditoyankee.com to learn more.
Brian Haney here. When I'm looking for the latest on Kansas athletics, I go to Kansas Nation. Interviews, news conferences, daily and weekly shows, and podcasts. It's all on kansasnation.com. Featuring Tyshawn Taylor, Brandon McAnderson, Chris Harris Jr., KU's official podcast, The Jayhawker with Nate Bukaty, and Catch Me with Jayhawk Greats on Haney and the Hawks. Kansas Nation, built for Jayhawk fans.
Just take the
A member of the Silver Bullet Band born today, Drew Abbott. There's Bob Seger right there. Breaking news, and Jordan pretty much broke it, but probably got to talk about the end of the era that was Mike Tomlin and his 19-year run in Pittsburgh. A game last night where the Steelers were unceremoniously dumped in their own ballpark by the Texans, 30-6. Mike Tomlin has stepped down as a Pittsburgh Steelers head coach. He announced that to his players after their meeting, which took place like a half an hour ago. So the wound's still kind of fresh. Tomlin has 2 years left on his contract, and he informed the players of his decision to walk away a day after they got beat by the Texans in the wild card round. Tomlin is only 53. I say only because coaching at any level for that long will age you, but he leaves having never had a losing season in nearly 2 decades. He had his 200th career victory in the game against the Lions, tied Chuck Noll, former Steeler coach also, for 9th with 193 regular season wins. And the Steelers will now begin the search for just their 4th head coach since 1969. That is some kind of historic run. Chuck Noll, Bill Cowher, Mike Tomlin, and now whoever the next guy is. Tomlin signed an extension in 2024, and that is notable because the Steelers will retain his coaching rights and could negotiate compensation if he returns to the NFL as a coach somewhere else before the end of the 2027 season. He ended his run at Pittsburgh with a 9-year postseason victory drought. Last night's loss was the first in their last 27 home Monday night games, by the way. And it also snapped the winless streak by the Texans on the road in the playoffs. And despite winning a Super Bowl, 2 conference championships, and 7 division titles, Tomlin's teams went 8-12 in postseason play. And, Jack, you remember his last postseason victory?
Gosh, would it have been in Kansas City?
Yeah, 10 years ago, 18-16 against Kansas City. That was his most recent one. They followed up that with a 36-17 loss to the Patriots in the AFC Championship game, and that was their last conference title game appearance. This is quite simply a be careful what you wish for kind of thing, and it's not dissimilar, in my opinion, to the John Harbaugh divorce in Baltimore, in that things kind of sometimes run its course. And Jordan kind of alluded to this a little while ago about there are differences and sort of similarities too in the Andy Reid breakup between he and the city and organization of Philadelphia. That sometimes it's just time. And Tomlin's inability to win the big one is not dissimilar to John Harbaugh's either. Now, you can blame whatever you want on that, and you can put it at the doorstep of the quarterback, and that's easy to do. But when it's all said and done, if you don't win at a tremendously high level, consistently, and higher than that, and I'm not saying that the Steelers were going to move on from him or that he was reading the tea leaves and he just got out first or got out ahead of this and say, I'm stepping down before I'm shown the door. Who knows? But as I mentioned earlier, I would very much look forward to Mike Tomlin being in a studio somewhere and giving us his thoughts on the NFL at large and getting away from a post-game or pre-game podium and just talking about the Steelers particularly. I like Mike Tomlin. I don't have a dog in this fight. The Steelers aren't my team, but I do know that there are a couple folks here in the in the Wind Surge office that are Steelers fans. And so it'd be interesting maybe to get their thoughts on what they think of Mike Tomlin. But, man, it's a cutthroat business. And you don't need me to tell you this at the highest level when you're talking about the Big Four and the money that's being made and the contracts and all that. But Mike Tomlin has apparently had enough. I would very much look forward to hearing some details, and I'm sure we will, from him and why he decided to step down. In the second half of the 26-7 loss to the Bills, there were chants of fire Tomlin. So, you know, fans short for fanatics. And, you know, sometimes if you're not going to Super Bowls consistently, then you're going to pay the piper in the end. But a 19-year run is a hell of a run for sure. Jack, I don't think we've ever talked about Mike Tomlin. What do you think about him as a guy and as a coach? Where do you come out?
I've always been a pretty big fan of Mike Tomlin. I believe that he is the epitome of consistency, and I can also understand the Steelers' frustration. One of my best buddies is a diehard Steelers fan, and he was ready for them to move on just because it's the Pittsburgh Steelers at the end of the day. You are not some team that is supposed to barely sneak into the postseason and get eliminated immediately. And it's been over a decade now since we really had that fear of the Steelers doing much in the postseason. I'd go as far to say ever since Big Ben retired, and even though his final year, they'd started 11-0 or something and then just limped to the finish line and got slaughtered by the Browns of all teams in the first round. That was the COVID year. Yeah. So after that, you just haven't looked at Pittsburgh the same. And even toward the very end of Big Ben's career, they didn't have that same power. And that's probably where it came out with Mike Tomlin. I don't see Aaron Rodgers coming back, nor should he. That felt like the final ride off into the sunset. They need to restructure a little bit. They need to find a new quarterback, a younger quarterback. And for Mike Tomlin, it does feel like the best time to step away for now. I could see him doing the same thing Mike Vrabel did, that you step away, you take time off, you come back next year. Because all of the coaching roles are all but filled up. Maybe he would have interest in going to Baltimore and coaching Lamar Jackson, but he's a lifelong Steeler, man. Does he really want to go and coach for an arch enemy in Baltimore? That's not what Mike Tomlin strikes me as.
Right.
I do feel that he is someone that's going to take a year off and then take another job that could be open down the road. And the only thing that's maybe hanging over his head is, as consistent as he's been, he's only got one Super Bowl victory. He's 1 for 2. And he lost to the Packers and Aaron Rodgers, but also beat Kurt Warner, a Hall of Famer. And that's still a really good resume. And there were a couple of years the Steelers had no business winning 9 games. I mean, none whatsoever.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it's ugly that his last game in Pittsburgh, what very well could be his last game unless he were to return at some point, I doubt it, was a beatdown at the hands of the Houston Texans at home. This year there were fire Tomlin chants. And what I would say to the next guy taking the job in Pittsburgh, though the expectation is still high, I mean, you're going to have to go win right away. There are no 8-9 seasons or 7-10 seasons. And if you do that, people are going to want you out immediately.
You think somebody's going to give them compensation to have him coach before the end of 2027?
Yeah, I would say next year. Somebody's going to. I feel you'd be stupid to. He's still relatively young. I feel he's a great leader of men. Yeah, he's got some limitations, but how much of that too was the roster construction? I never looked at Pittsburgh as having this unbelievably loaded roster post AB and Le'Veon Bell and Ben Roethlisberger.
Yeah.
Really, after that, there wasn't that many explosive weapons that they had on the team, and I felt that he did a lot with a little in some of those years. So somebody would be stupid not to give him that chance. If you're just looking for some form of stability, I mean, if I was the Raiders, I'm calling Mike Tomlin.
I'm definitely calling John Harbaugh. I don't know if Harbaugh's going to answer, but yeah, for sure.
You might as well shoot for the moon a little bit. And I don't know. I've always felt that Mike Tomlin's gotten a little bit of a bad rep because they didn't go that deep into the postseason the last couple of years. But think about what he took over. I mean, it's not that the Steelers were bad. He had to replace Bill Cowher.
Yep.
And those are some big shoes to fill. And I thought that there was immense pressure, and he was a young head coach too. I mean, it's not that he was coming over with
he's
all
like 36 or 30.
Yeah. I mean, he was the youngest head coach, I believe, at the time. And he comes into Pittsburgh, of all places, and you got the Rooney family, and there's this great tradition. And I thought he did very well. I really did. I don't believe it's a sour end, but how often does this happen in the NFL? You've got guys that are at the peak, and they're going nowhere anytime soon. And at the very end, people want you to move on. It happened. No franchise is immune to that. I mean, even Bill Belichick. I'm sure Patriots fans at the end were going, can you just retire, please? We're done with this. We want to move on. We need to have a change of culture. And that's probably what Pittsburgh came to an agreement. They probably approached him and said, Mike, here's your options. We'll either fire you or you're going to step down. And Mike Tomlin said, I'll just step down. I've got 2 years left on the contract, and I'll allow you to go look elsewhere. But Pittsburgh's joining the game kind of late. I don't know what options are really going to be out there. It doesn't feel like the greatest coaching cycle, at least with who's still available and who's actually likely to come to Pittsburgh.
If that was a mutual agreement, Mike Tomlin did them a huge favor if he wants to coach again fairly soon. And I can only assume he wants to coach. Maybe he's done. I don't know, but I doubt it. But if that were the case, Jack, and I'm Mike Tomlin, I'd be like, sorry, guys, but fire my ass then. That way I get to go wherever I want, whenever I want. You just signed me to an extension last year or 2 years ago. You're not going to hold me hostage for the next 2+ years just because you want this to be an amicable divorce. And we talk about how cold and harsh a professional sports is as a business. If that were the case, I think Mike Tomlin's made a mistake if he wants to coach again.
Maybe. It also was a relationship that ran its course.
I agree with that part.
There was this, I'm just not sure that it was ever going to return to where it once was, because it's hard to find a great quarterback at this level and in this league when you're constantly finishing 9-8.
Yeah.
You're not going to be picking top 10. You're going to be in the teens. And they've pretty much gone out there and done everything but get that franchise quarterback. I mean, Aaron Rodgers is at the end of his career. He was a stopgap guy, and it was an improvement over Mason Rudolph and Kenny Pickett. But they've relied on Ben Roethlisberger, and then they had a little bit of those down years where they still won 9+ games, had winning seasons, but they couldn't get that, let's say, not a C.J. Stroud, but they couldn't get the Drake Mays out there. They couldn't get the Josh Allens. They couldn't get the Patrick Mahomeses because they were in the teens. They were toward the 20s, and they were trying to build around a quarterback where now the focus in Pittsburgh, look how quickly it turned around for New England. You find the right guy, you're going to be able to turn things around rather quickly. You might have one down year, but it's worth it. And I feel that Pittsburgh still has that traditional feel where you're going to get free agents. You're going to have people that want to play there. It may just come down to now that who the coach is. Do you want to go somewhere where you got this offensive mastermind like Ben Johnson in Chicago now, or are you going to hire somebody that's a no-name and it might not be as enticing as a spot for a few years?
Right. Texter says Andy goes one more year and then Tomlin takes over after him. Eyeball emoji. 316-247-0923. Elsewhere on the text line, similar sentiments from multiple texters. A couple years of TV, ? Love Tomlin. Really needed OC and DC to be changed. And finally, what Tomlin did for so long with weak draft picks is incredible. I suspect Pittsburgh will be very bad for a few years. All right, it is 1:43 when we come back. I'm old, Jack's young. Next.
Wichita's news sports leader, ESPN Wichita, 92.3 FM, KKGQ, Newton.
This sports center is brought to you by KDOT. As your speedometer creeps up, so does your risk of crashing. Don't try to save time speeding. Save a heartbreak by driving safely and making it there in one piece.
Nachos! Yeah, nachos!
Hey, I'll take some.
Great. And some Frank's Red Hot.
Oh, nah, I'm good.
Oh, you're just going to eat these dry, plain, boring nachos with no Franks. Oh, seriously? Frank it up. Frank it up. Come on, lady. Frank it up. Frank it up. Frank it up. Yeah! Yeah, this guy finally gets it. Hey, look, we're on the Jumbotron.
It's the perfect blend of flavor and heat. Frank's Red Hot. I put that on everything.
The future will be amazing, and that's all well and good. But what about today? You can feel the rush of a 400 horsepower Nissan Z, or climb to new heights in the all-terrain Nissan Frontier. Light up the road in the all-electric Nissan Ariya that feels like a sci-fi dream come true. The future will be great, but today is made for thrill. All you have to do is get in a Nissan and drive. 2023 Ariya and Z not yet available for purchase. Expected availability is this spring for 2023 Z and this fall for 2023 Ariya.
Research shows listeners prefer a personalized experience. So to help you remember, Liberty Mutual customizes your home insurance. We personalized this ad for Amber, who really misses boy bands from the 90s.
Hey girl, I'm the cute one, here to tell you how Liberty Mutual customizes your home insurance so you only pay for what you need.
I'm the heartthrob. The only thing I love more than you is saving. And I'm the other boy in the band everyone forgot about.
Only pay for what you need at libertymutual.com.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Today on Hey Culligan, Smart Home, Smarter Water Softener. Here's Kevin.
Hey Culligan, can a smart water softener lift those heavy salt bags for me?
Kevin, it can.
Wait, it can?
Yep, the smart high-efficiency water softener from Culligan can alert your dealer when the salt needs to be replaced, and they'll do it for you, so your water stays soft and you stay away from lifting the bags.
I mean, I could lift them if I wanted.
No judgment here, Kevin. We're happy to do it, and we're already on the way. Let us help you out with a free in-home water test with the local Culligan water expert at Culligan.com.
The College Football Playoff National Championship. The magical run by the 10th-ranked Miami Hurricanes continues.
There's no bad play, no bad call, no injury that we can't overcome.
When they face the top-ranked and undefeated Indiana Hoosiers.
All I can say is go IU!
Coverage begins Monday at 6:30 on your home for college football. ESPN Wichita 92.3 FM.
I'll never settle down. That's what I always thought.
I'm old Jack Young.
Yeah, I was that kind of man. Just ask anyone. I don't dance, but here I am, spinning you round and round in circles. It ain't my
Dang, this is a good one, Jack.
but I don't care. I do.
Are you locked in?
No, not at all.
Yes, you got me in the palm of your hand. 'Cause I don't.
Good one as in you're stumping me. Not, this is a good song, although, it's all right. Individual?
Yes.
Okay.
Love's never come my way. I've never been this far.
Have you given me him before?
Not in a long, long time.
Ooh, okay. Unlike the Pat ploy, I seriously don't think I'm going to get this one. I'm not going to pull it out of my you-know-what at the 11th hour. Quite sure.
I got one guess.
That's good. I'm not even sure I can spit out a name.
I'll give you a hint.
All right, I need it.
He's featured in the Drinking Buddies song.
That didn't help at all. Who? I give up. I don't know.
Lee Bryce.
Lee, okay. Yeah, I guess I kind of heard it there. I was just going to say that was a little, wouldn't you agree, in the country music scene, that was a pretty unique voice? Like,
Yeah.
doesn't exactly sound like somebody else like some of those other guys do?
It's a tough one, though, too, because he's
Bryce.
He's more of that country artist where you'll hear a song from the early 2010s and you'll remember it, but then you'll never know who sang it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't remember who that is.
Yeah.
But then you'll hear Lee Bryce, you go, oh, yeah, I know who that is. I just wouldn't have put two and two together.
Was Lee Bryce here? Like Equity Bank Park here?
I cannot confirm or deny.
Country concert a couple of years ago. I'm thinking if it was the one that I didn't go to. Maybe I get my country music dudes mixed up. But all right, that was a good one. We'll start on Connor McDavid. He is 29.
That's hockey, right?
Very good. Yes. Number 1 overall pick. Born on this day. It's a big day, unfortunately, for Born on This Day Now Dead. Doug Martin.
Former Tampa Bay Buccaneer.
Would have
Gone
been
too soon.
Would have been 37. Died last year. Yep. Former Buck, former Raider, too. Boise State Bronco, I believe.
Correct.
Also born on this day, died last year. So gone too soon times 2. Both died last year. Nick Mangold.
Yeah, that was in October, I believe.
Recently.
Former
Yeah.
Jets lineman.
Yep. 7-time Pro Bowler. First team All-Pro, 2009. Ronnie Turioff, 43.
Basketball.
That's right. A member of the French Basketball Hall of Fame, Ronnie Turioff. James Posey, 49.
That's basketball, too.
That's right.
Or a headband.
Also correct. Nikolai Khabibulin, 53.
This is basketball or hockey?
Yeah, he's from Russia. There's your
hockey.
Okay, good. Yes. Would have accepted Olympian, too. Gold medal, 1992. All-Star, 4 times. Tampa Bay Lightning. Kevin Mitchell, 64.
This is baseball.
Correct. Former MVP back in the day. He's the guy, Jack, before I tell you, anything else besides MVP in baseball?
Go on.
He's the guy that made that barehanded catch in foul territory that you see on the highlights. Which
for some odd reason we have really yet to see in the modern era at all.
Oh, no one would even try that. Although, let's point out that he overran the ball. There's a reason why he had to catch it with his non-glove hand, but whatever. Also born on this day now dead, Kent Hull would have been 65.
Football, I believe.
Yeah, former Buffalo Bills center. Guy snapping the ball to Jim Kelly all those years. Died 15 years ago. Also born on this day now dead. Also died 15 years ago. Bob Forsch.
That's baseball.
That's right. Former pitcher. Cardinal Astro. I already said this earlier today. See how close you were paying attention. Non-Big Four, Bob Baffert, 73.
Oh, no. Not paying attention well enough.
You're basking in the glow of your funny joke.
Exactly. Non-Big Four, you said?
Oh, yeah. Couldn't be further from the Big Four.
Jeez. I'm stumped.
A little surprised you don't at least recognize the name. He was a horse trainer, Hall of Fame horse trainer, 2 Triple Crown winners under his belt. I won't count off. Dexter says horse racing legend. That's right. Dying on this day, Joe McCarthy. Old school.
Oh, man.
You want a hint?
I'll say, yeah, might as well.
Coach.
Football?
Nope. Baseball.
Okay.
Way back when. Cubs, Yankees, Red Sox. Joe McCarthy. Died on this day in 1978. 7 years ago, Mel Stottlemyre.
And that would be baseball.
Correct.
And his son, I always feel I say this when we bring up Mel Stottlemyre. Stottlemyre, excuse me. Was a coach for the Brewers, I believe.
Would that be Mel Jr.?
Yeah.
Okay. Remember Todd Stottlemyre from the Blue Jays and others? Yeah.
Let me double check on this. I could be wrong, maybe on the Brewers.
And maybe you're thinking of this guy because he was with the Yankees, Mel, as a pitching coach.
Yeah.
Also the Mets.
Also Mel Stottlemyre Jr. was a pitcher for the Royals. But coaching-wise, gosh, I swear I thought he was a coach somewhere. Okay. So I was wrong. It was Diamondbacks, Mariners, and Marlins, and he was fired in 2024 at the end of the 24 season.
All right. Dead day 10 years ago, Lawrence Phillips.
Cornhusker.
Suicide. Yes. 40. Doug Harvey, 8 years ago. Hint if you need it.
I'll take it.
Official.
I feel baseball then.
Yes, former umpire. Correct. Did 7 All-Star games, 4,673 career games. Doug Harvey. All right, better get out of here. Pulse is coming up next. Don't forget, tonight, the coverage between KU and Iowa State starts at 6 with Kansas Nation pregame leading into the Crimson and Blue show right here. For Jack, I'm Shane. Thank you for listening. Stick around. The Pulse is next.
Bye, Shane.
Bye, buddy.